This clip is going to demonstrate some more aspects of the aggregation framework in MongoDB. So we're working with the movie details collection, and the question asked this time is to calculate the overall highest, lowest, and average movie runtime. So we're looking at the overall values for movie runtimes. So in this case, we need to use the aggregation pipeline feature component, and we want to group. And we're grouping by ID because we have to always include ID in the process, but it's null. So we aren't choosing to group by any particular category. So that's going to do is give us the overall average, the overall max, and the overall min. So let's just run the syntax and see the results. So we can see here on the right hand side is the average runtime, 86 point something, the max runtime of 551, and the min runtime of 1. So that's the equivalent of, in SQL, saying select AVG runtime, max runtime, and min runtime from movie details. So we're getting the overall summary values without being broken down by any subcategory. So then if we take this and move it on to the next stage, where we do include some kind of a grouping category. So this time we're looking for to calculate the average movie runtime for each of the rated categories. So this time and then we're asked to sort the results by average movie runtime in ascending order. So in this example, we have two stages in the aggregation pipeline. So the first one again is grouping by ID, but this time we're choosing to go by rated. So it's $rated. So we're going to be grouping by the rated column rather than just grouping by null as last time, or rated field. So the field label here is average runtime, and then we're using the $average accumulator, and we're targeting the runtime field, $runtime. And then we hope to sort the results in ascending order by the average runtime. So if we execute this, takes the various categories, and again there's more than will be displayed in one screen or one, so we have to iterate. So what we have here is we're looking at them in ascending order. So that's why 15 and null is the first one, then we have 8, 10, 15, 16, 54, and all the way down to the last one on the list is 112. So in this case we have an aggregation pipeline that has two stages. The first one groups the documents by the rated field, calculates the average runtime, and the second stage is a sort stage where we sort by average runtime. So from an SQL perspective, that'll be saying something like select rated average runtime, and we have a column alias there called AVG runtime from movie details, group by rated and order by average runtime. So that's just two stages in the process. So we've now come across the average accumulator in MongoDB. So as well as the average accumulator, there also is the max accumulator and the min accumulator. So we're now going to use those in an example. So this question asks us to consider all movie rated categories other than PG, PG-13, and R, and that were made in the years 2001, 2002, 2003, and then calculate the highest, the lowest, and average movie runtime for each of the rated values or each of the rated categories. And then we're asked to sort by the movie rated category. And the next element that's new here, it says to send the output to a new collection called movie runtime stats. And finally, to confirm that the movie runtime stats collection exists by executing a find query after it's created. So the first job to do here, the first task, is to only consider movies that don't belong to the PG or PG-13 or R categories. That's why we say rated nin, not in. So we're finding movies that don't fall into those three categories or those three rated values, and then we're looking for years that are in in other words, that are one of 2001, 2002, 2003. And then we're doing our grouping. So we're grouping by rated, but we've labeled it here as rated cat, and that'll become important in a moment. And then we're getting the average runtime, we're getting the max runtime and the min runtime. So what you see here is the accumulators $average, $max, and $min. So they all target the runtime field. And then the question asks us to sort the results by the movie rated category. So the rated field is one of the fields, is the field we're grouping by. So therefore we label it rated cat. And then when we want to sort it, we have to prefix it with the underscore ID. So that's the important distinction here. We have to sort by underscore ID dot rated cat, and that will sort by the rated field. And finally, the last stage in the process in this aggregation pipeline is an out stage. So an out stage means that the documents that come from the sort stage are going to be sent to a different collection, to a collection called movie runtime stats. So the first stage, again, in this particular aggregation pipeline is to filter the documents using match, then to group them using the rated cat, and we group them under three different values: the average, the max, and the min. The documents generated at that stage are passed on to the sort stage, and the sort stage sorts the documents in ascending order by the category, the rated cat column or field, and then we send the sorted documents end up in a new collection called movie runtime stats. And to prove that that collection actually exists, we have to run a query on it. So that's why we say db.movieRuntimeStats.find. So if we process all of this now, we'll see the full sequence of events. So the aggregation framework or pipeline executes, but unusually there's no output. Okay, and the reason there's no output is because the output doesn't come to screen. The output, or the documents being generated, are sent to this using the out stage. They are sent to the movie runtime stats collection, and then the db movie runtime stats find will display the documents. So if we'd left out the out stage, the documents you'd see at the end of the normal aggregation process or aggregation pipeline are the same documents we see here after running the find query. So that's the end of this clip where we demonstrate a pipeline with 4 stages in it, and this one includes an out stage and therefore a new collection. So that's the end of the clip.